Welcome everybody to the OPT Network. It is our great pleasure to welcome the Mayor-elect of Bunkie, Louisiana, our family, our friend, Miss Brenda Sampson to the OPT Network for the very first time. Brenda, congratulations and welcome.
Thank you, Carla. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm super, super excited. Before we talk about the first, well, really technically the first woman elected mayor of Bunkie and the first Black woman, I want to take people back to growing up in Bunkie and being a lifetime resident.
Right. That's right. Well, I was raised in Bunkie. Well, you know how Bunkie was. And Bunkie was thriving. And there were a lot of things going on there. I think times have changed everywhere. But Bunkie was a thriving community, that there were a lot of things going on. And things just happened to change. And I would like to see some of those things come back. And just come back to the community feeling that we had.
I think that every town USA and people who live in small towns, that those towns have failed to thrive, can really understand what we're saying. Because it's not just Bunkie, it's a lot of communities. But you know, you grow up, you go to Bunkie High School, and then you go on and you go to Southern, but you never really leave home.
No.
Why?
Well, I think it's just the feeling of home, and everybody feels that way. And I've had a lot of people that have talked to me that have moved away, and they want to contribute back to Bunkie too. And I think that we need to look at that, and I think that will give us another feeling of, and a sense of using those resources that we have. People want to give back to their hometown. They really do. I hear it all the time, and I just don't think we had the vehicle maybe to do that. And that's one thing I want to do, is to try to get those people that have left and some good ideas from some people that are still there. We have some great people that have told me some things that they're interested in, and I want to see that we can kind of get those things back.
So, but what people that don't know the history of Bunkie may not know is that you served on the city council for how long?
Since 2010.
Since 2010.
Yeah.
And so when did you decide, I might be able to do more?
Well, it just kind of, when it came up that the opportunity presented itself, I felt like, well, I think I can be of service to the town, because you live in a town for so long and you just decide at some point, what can I do to help? Is there something that I might be able to do to kind of help the town? I'm going to be here, especially when you make the conscious decision that I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be in Bunkie. So that's when I decided that I would run for city council.
So what was going on in your world when you decided, because you've been on the council since 2010.
And I have to go back to 2010 to see where I was at the time, because at the time I had just retired. I was doing some part-time work in mental health, but I had retired, and I felt like I had the time and the energy just to see what I could do, because I didn't have the clearest understanding of city government, but I knew I wanted to help. So I felt like that was one way that I could. And I did. Some people had asked me about it, and I said, well, yeah, I think I have the time to do that, and that's what I want to do. So I did. I just decided it's time for me to contribute.
And then so you serve on the city council from 2010 to 2022. And then you say, I'm going to sit in the big chair. I'm going to see if I can sit in the big chair. What goes into the conversation? What are you and your husband saying when he says, or when you say to him, I think I might want to run for mayor?
Well, it kind of goes into the conversation, what really happened, to think about, do you really think that you have the time, the energy, probably the foresight? Because when I retired, I opened my own business. And that's a daunting task when you open a business, particularly after 60 years old, when people are more looking toward retirement than starting something new. So we talked about it, and we talked about, you're starting something, you already started a business, and I have a lot of goals swirling around in my head to extend that, and I think I can. And also, he said, well, do you think you can do it? I said, yeah, I think so. Because I'm the type of person, if I feel like I can, I'm not going to do that. And some people ask me, do you think that it's more than you can do? And I said, no, I don't. I feel like I can, because I feel like if I couldn't contribute, I would not do it.
And then you had already seen the way that city government worked for a lot of years.
Yes. And that's another thing. I saw city government, and when you move into the mayorship, city government, it moves slowly too. There are a lot of things that you want to do. It takes time. And I felt like there's some things that we want to do, but I really want to invest more in human capital. Let our people that are there get more involved. And I would hope that they come to city council, but not just coming to city council meetings. I think the mayor should go out, get those people involved. There are people, when you get people involved in things they're interested in, they'll work toward it. And so I think that there are a lot of things that people are interested in Bunkie and out of Bunkie, that we need to get them moving. And I think we can make a change with that.
So you make that decision, but then you have tragedy in your family.
Yes.
So your daughter April dies, and a lot of people are saying, is this going to shut down your run for mayor? So when you have such a deep loss, how do you put those pieces together to make a decision to continue?
Right. Well, I'm glad you asked, because it was hard. That was a very, very difficult decision. But what helped me with that was April and I had talked about it before she died. And so she was, she wanted me to do it. And we kind of talked about it, and I thought about it. In fact, the week that April died was the week of qualifying.
Wow.
Yeah, so I had to really decide, is this what I wanted to do? And so I felt like, when things happen, and I have my grandchildren there, and I wanted to
Which are her children?
Which are her children. And I wanted to show them that when tragedy strikes, it's hard. And I tell them, it's very hard. Anybody that has ever lost a child know that that's probably the hardest thing you'll ever have to deal with. But I wanted them to know that life still moves. And even in your tragedy, you have to keep doing things that are important to you. And so my grandchildren they're also behind me. And I just, we're still grieving, and we talk about it all the time. My granddaughter, Randy, always tells me, she said, you're going to be, she said, my grandmother's going to be the mayor. And I said, well, yeah, Randy, that's my goal. So I wanted them to understand. And I had so much good support from the community. It's important when you have people behind you, and people that understand your struggle, and people that you can lean on. So once I thought about what April would want, and she would want me to move on, and she would want me to do this, because we had already talked about it. So that helped me make my decision.
So not only is the month of May Mental Health Awareness Month, but you lose your daughter, and you lose her to a drug overdose, which almost every community in America, and maybe even around the world, is struggling with that. How do you then take what you understand about mental health, because that's your business and your profession, and make it applicable to not only your life, but these babies, these children that are left behind that don't have their mom?
Well, I think one thing I have to be is I'm always honest with them.
Are you?
I'm very honest with them.
And how old are they, Brenda?
Well, Kevin is 22 and Randy is 13. And I'm very honest with them. If they ask me something, I'm going to give them an honest answer. We've talked about some things going forward that we want to do in the mental health, substance abuse range to help others, and I do that anyway. I've done some things because I feel like everything that you do does not have to be broadcast. Nobody has to know it. You know it, and you know what you've done. So I talk to them a lot about that, and we talk about it and how we can help others. Because April was such a giving person. A lot of people see the substance abuser, but they don't see the
they don't see beyond
that. Right. So it's hard for them sometimes. And a lot of people did. A lot of people knew her.
Was it hard for you to separate her from the addiction? Because in families, especially after families have been hurt by the use of the addict, sometimes it's hard to separate.
Right. It takes a while to get to where you can. But then the family, I think the family knows, because the family knows the person. The family, sometimes other people can't see anything but the addict, but the family can see the person, or the close friends see the person, and they know the person that's there. So I don't think it's very hard to separate. In my mind, it's easier because you know the person.
Because you know that that's not her, but that's what she's doing.
That's what she's doing, and you know the heart. So it's easier for me because I knew her. We knew her, and we know addiction is a bad disease. That it's a struggle. It really is, and some people. I applaud those people. I work with those people that can get past the struggle. Some don't make it. Some just don't make it. She didn't make it, but she worked hard, and she had such good things that we saw. You know. So
did you think that she would make it out? Did you, being the professional side of you that understands addiction, did you think, she's gonna make it through?
I think everybody's sees that and I think it's kind of harder for the professional to separate the professional from the personal. And sometimes it's harder for you to see in your own, when you're dealing with your own, that you see sometimes
your child.
Right. And I did think so. I did. And sometimes it's even hard that you kind of feel like things are not as bad, but that's the mother side. See, so I had to deal with the part of me that was her mother that I probably would have dealt differently.
If you'd have been the professional, if you'd have put the professional hat on.
Yes.
And so then what do you tell your 13-year-old grandbaby? What do you tell Randy about addiction and about her mom's death? Does she, and at 13, she fully...
Yeah, she knows. Well, I talk to her a lot whenever, and Randy, I'm always trying to get Randy to express herself, because Randy is not the child that comes out and expresses, and that worries me, that she should express herself. And so a lot of times I tell her if she has any questions, but she didn't. And the thing about, she and her mother were very close, and her mother talked to her. She did. April talked to her a lot. And her mother was the kind of person that believed in discipline. She worked really hard with me to make sure we were on the same page. If Randy did something that she tried to play us against each other, she couldn't. Cause
she didn't want you to be the grandmother. She wanted to make sure that we don't toe the line.
And that we're on the same page. If your grandmother told you to do it, you do it. And she was very. And the good part of that is Randy saw all the good parts of her mother. She did. And she knew those good parts. And she knew the struggle also. So a lot, I feel like, I didn't have to tell her. She saw it, and she had a good understanding of it. She really did.
And so after April passes and you make the decision to run, how does the town embrace you? Because everybody's really, I can remember, when it happened and people were saying, well, we don't know if she'll run now, or we don't know. What were people saying?
Well, a lot of people sent messages that they were glad I was, and that they saw the strength of me running. People that were supporting me before, and some people that didn't, saw the need, and they saw the strength, and they felt like, and they said so. I know this is difficult for you. But we're so happy you're running. Some people sent me messages and said, I was afraid you weren't going to run, but I'm glad that you did. Whatever you need, I'll be there. And people were. They were very supportive. I had good support, good community support, and I'm thankful for that.
And so as we look into May being Mental Health Awareness Month, and we know that so many people, especially in small towns are not getting the help that they need and don't really understand what that help should look and feel like. What do you say to those people?
Well, I say to those people to seek help. You know, sometimes, because a lot of people felt like, and I had a couple of people to tell me, I'm surprised that you said what happened. And I said, why are you surprised? And they said, well, a lot of people don't want that to be known. Well, I didn't think.
Why did you say what happened?
Well, why they wanted, a lot of people, when something happens, somebody overdoses, they may not say what the true cause of their death was. And so I felt like, no, I can help somebody else, because somebody may be looking up to me and saying, you know, this happened to her, because this can happen to anybody. Anybody, you know, addiction crosses socioeconomic status, it crosses race, it does. It happens. I've had people in all walks of life in the same situation that I'm in. So I feel like I'm here to help somebody else. If there's somebody that's going through it, you know what I went through, come to me. If there's something I can do, I'll come to you. So it just feels, it's just a situation where you have to know how to help people, and the community knows. The community knows. I'm an open book. The community knows my story. There's nothing that I have to hide from anybody. And if it's any way I can help anybody, that's what I'm going to do. I feel like even running for mayor, when there are people that did not support me, and this was my philosophy when I ran for council. If there were people that didn't support me, the election is over. We're out of election mode now. We're into helping Bunkie. It does not matter who voted for me. If I can help you, I'm going to help you, and I'm here to help the town. So that's just my philosophy.
And don't you think, as me knowing your family my whole life, that's just how your family is built?
That's how we're built. That's how we are. That's how we were raised. You know, we laughed when we talked on the radio about Uncle Bill and Nanny Betty and my mother. You know, that's just how we are. And I think that's just the way. I think about when April, for the stint of sobriety that she had, she got on Facebook and told her own story. Right. So I wasn't saying anything that she didn't say herself. You know, she was proud of herself. She wanted to help. I can remember when she spoke to the Rotary Club with me, and she talked to them. So it's all about helping others. That's what it's about.
And so going forward, you know, we talk about it on our shows a lot, addiction. In small towns like Bunkie and small towns around central Louisiana, what are the answers? Are there any answers?
It's difficult. It's hard, and I'm not here to say it's easy. It's very hard. But I think if we kind of coalesce around each other, help each other. At one point, which I'm going to start again, we had a small group of parents, adult parents of children with addiction, and we had started a group. Then COVID came in. But I think it's important to have those supports around you when you're dealing with people who've been there, who are in the situation. Other parents, I can tell you how I feel. I think that's the thing. I'm also real interested in looking into helping adult parents of mentally ill children, because that's a hard situation when you have an adult child who's mentally ill to get them help. They're adults, so they can do it.
There's nothing you can do.
Right. And so I've talked to some parents with that. And I think the big thing is I'm hoping that the city council, we're going to work really hard with our new chief, that we can work maybe to get some of the off the streets, but we know what the situation is. That's hard. But on the other end, to do some maybe prevention with our children, and to do some groups with our family members who need that support. And I think it's real important that we get to the point culturally that we understand the importance of mental health. You know, because as a culture, we're just getting to the point that we understand counseling is good.
Right. And especially, and when you say culturally, we're talking about in the African American community, something that we don't typically really talk about.
Exactly.
We don't run to a therapist. You know, in fact, in our community, it was just like, I'm not crazy. And so to get past that, and to your point about people telling the truth, oftentimes in our community, we don't tell the truth.
Right.
We really don't, because of the shame that we feel. And I think that we just have to find ways to get beyond that, because it's anybody's struggle. So many families today are struggling. But, you know, just thank you for your commitment to truth and to spreading information about mental health and mental wellness and addiction, because I think they really sometimes go hand in hand.
They do. And then I spoke at, I was at Amazon a couple of weeks ago, and we talked a lot about the correlation between mental health and your religious belief. I think we have to understand, if I say I need help, that does not have anything to do with my religion, my spirituality.
Or my faith.
Right. It works hand in hand. It really does. I need you to pray. And studies have shown people who believe in a higher power do better physically, they do better mentally. So of course we want that. But we also want you to understand the need for help, the need, sometimes medication it helps.
Do you think that people were able to hear that and to receive that? Because we've had many conversations with Kay Warren. She's the wife of Rick Warren. They're the leaders, the pastors of Purpose-Driven Life in California. And their son died by suicide. And what she's saying and what they're saying is now that the evangelical community has not done enough to talk about mental health and mental wellness. And it's not an assault on a person's faith. She said we would never tell somebody who had high blood pressure not to take their medicine.
Exactly. And I say the same thing, because a lot of times when people come to me and I tell them, if somebody said you had diabetes, they diagnosed you, you go to the doctor, they determine whether you need insulin or whatever you need. You make some lifestyle changes. We're saying the same thing. And you still go to church, you still pray, you still do all those things that are spiritually good for you. And so we say the same thing in mental health. You do the same things, but seek the help. And I think we're starting to get there in our communities, and our religious people are starting to see the need and talk about it. We have to talk about it more and let people know it's no shame. Look, I don't know too many people I don't think could not benefit from good counseling.
Really?
You need somebody to talk to.
Everybody does.
Right. So I think that's just a wonderful thing. But I think those people I tell people all the time, if you have depression, there's a clinical component to that. Seek the help. Seek the help that you need. There's nothing wrong with you getting help. And so that stigma, I think we're starting to peel those layers back, and it's getting better.
And so with all that said, you got a lot on your plate, but you are familiar with the town. You're familiar with the city government. The inauguration is going to be June 30th. Give us just a glimpse in your mind's eye what you'd like to see that look and feel like.
Well, what we're planning, we're going to do it at the Hayes Auditorium, and I see it being a community event. We want the community involved. Everybody that was elected, we're getting their involvement and participation, and we just want to have a good time, a good mixture of people, just to go into a new era in Bunkie. And so I envision it being just a good time for everybody.
A good celebration. Food?
Yes, most definitely.
Well, Brenda, we just can't say enough how proud out loud we are of you. And as I've said, people that don't know, I'm from Bunkie and grew up and raised in Bunkie my whole life. And I just believe that you're going to do amazing work in hopefully bringing the community together and bringing it back up to the place that we knew growing up.
Well, I'm going to do my best. My promise is to do the best job I can, to work every day, to get involvement from the community. And I just appreciate all the support I've already gotten. And I know it's not going to be an easy task, but I'm up to the task. And I look forward to to ideas from other people that want to give them to me. And I appreciate all the support I've gotten from you. We've known each other all our lives.
All of our lives. We've cried together. We've eaten together.
Yes,
we've celebrated together. We have had many years together.
We have.
And I know that you're going to be an amazing mayor. May God continue to bless the work of your hands.
Thank you so much.
Indeed. Hey, everybody. The new mayor-elect of Bunkie, Louisiana, Miss Brenda Sampson. Stay on point. We're back after this.